Well, good day, everyone. As we all know, North Carolina has been digging out the last few days from a significant snowstorm that dumped a lot of snow all across our state, from the Blue Ridge to the Outer Banks. Between the hard work of our DOT crews and the weather, progress is being made on clearing our roads, and we'll hear some specific about that soon. But right now, all of the interstates and primary roads are clear, and DOT is working very hard on secondary roads to try to get those cleared by the end of the day. I want to thank the public of North Carolina and the fact that so many of you heeded our warnings to stay off the road, and by doing that, you were helpful in making sure that our DOT workers were safer, our law enforcement was safer. So I want to thank you. I also want to thank the DOT crews, first responders, law enforcement for their hard work. We have about 75% of our schools across the state are still closed. When it comes to driving, we're still asking you to stay off roads that have snow and ice on them, because we are still working. Most of those are secondary roads now. We're still working on clearing those. And for your safety and to allow our DOT crews to get to them, we want you to stay off roads that do have snow and ice on them. We also know that by the end of the day, a lot of the roads will be clear, but tonight, temperatures will drop below freezing. So even roads that look clear can be dangerous tonight and in the morning. And it is my understanding also that you'll have freezing tomorrow night as well. So some of the same instances can occur. We still will likely have a weather advisory issued to many parts of our state tonight because of that probability. We have with us today our Transportation Secretary Jim Trogdon, Emergency Management Director Mike Sprayberry, Lieutenant Colonel Vic Ward of the North Carolina State Highway Patrol, Brigadier General Todd Hunt of the North Carolina National Guard, and Department of Health and Human Secretary Interpreter for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, Monica McGee. I now want to turn it over to Secretary Trogdon so he can give us some specifics about the condition of the North Carolina roadways. Secretary Trogdon.
Thank you, Governor, and good afternoon. In preparation and in response to this winter storm, NCDOT crews have placed over 4 million gallons of anti-icing or de-icing agents, as well as 50,000 tons of salt. The storm has impacted more than 77,000 miles of our 80,000 mile roadway system, but our 2,400 employees that have been actively supporting this recovery have effectively cleared all of our interstates and primary roads across the state. And today we're shifting focus over to clearing secondary roads statewide for the remainder of the day. In most areas of our state, our secondary roads are still partially covered with snow, and so we're targeting to have all of those roads cleared with some limited icy spots, particularly in those shaded areas, by the end of the day. This morning, some regions have completed clearing their secondary road system, which has allowed us to redeploy some assets. Additional crews will be have moved from the Wilmington area this morning to support secondary road clearing in the Triangle. Also, interregionally, snow clearing assets from our state road maintenance facilities in Northampton, Hertford, Gates, Chowan, Perquimans maintenance facilities will be supporting Dare County in plowing operations until that's complete. Martin County will be supporting Hyde County. Wayne County will support Nash County, as well as hauling salt into Wake County. Bladen, Columbus, and Robeson counties will be supporting Harnett County. And Scotland, Hoke, and Richmond counties will be supporting Randolph and Chatham counties. We anticipate and know that students will be returning to school today in some of our southern coastal counties, as well as in some of our counties in the Fayetteville area, and then counties in the southern Piedmont, as well as Macon County in the far west. So it's just a reminder to use extreme caution tonight and tomorrow, although roads will be clear by the end of the day. Snowbanks and windrows on the edge of roadways from our plowing operations will linger and will melt slower, and that water, as it melts, can refreeze overnight, impacting travel in the night and into the morning. Particularly on those two-lane roads that have tree shaded areas, the bottom of hills, and in curves. So particularly tonight and tomorrow morning, I would stress that everyone watch for these spot icy locations across our state as you travel. Thank you.
Thanks, Secretary Trogdon. It's time to get North Carolina kids back to school and North Carolinians back to work. And they are still working today on these secondary roads, but we continue to urge people to exercise caution, particularly on roads that still have snow and ice, and tonight and in the morning when there could be a potential for black ice. The calls to the North Carolina Highway Patrol have been down, but they went back up a little bit again this morning. And unfortunately, we have had 2 deaths in North Carolina related to this storm. The first one yesterday in Washington County, but then there's one that occurred just a few hours ago in Durham, North Carolina. I'm going to call Colonel Vic Ward of the North Carolina Highway Patrol to give us some specifics on that. Colonel Ward.
Thank you, Governor. Since the inception of this storm, State Highway Patrol has responded to more than 5,362 calls for service, of which 3,200 of those calls were vehicle collisions. The efforts made by the Department of Transportation to clear the roadways, along with the continued melting, should result in better driving conditions throughout the day. We are still cautioning motorists to be mindful of those slick spots that may still be present on secondary roads, especially around the overpasses and ramps. I would also like to take the opportunity to remind everyone of the importance of moving over for workers that are on the shoulders, that are placing themselves in danger to assist others. So be mindful of that and make sure to move over. Additionally, motorists can assist us with collision reduction by ensuring that they remove ice from their vehicles before getting onto the road. Finally, I would like to thank every member of the State Highway Patrol, both sworn and civilian, who have assisted with our response to the storm, along with all our law enforcement partners and other emergency responders. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Colonel Ward. We appreciate the good work of the North Carolina Highway Patrol, particularly during this period of time. I want to emphasize again that we'll likely have a weather advisory issued tonight because it's going to freeze again. We're asking people to exercise extreme caution when they go out, and particularly to be ready for that. The state of emergency is still in effect until further notice, and with our power outages, we're down to about 200 homes without power now. It had peaked around 31,000 during the storm, but it is now down to about 200. Remember that the abandoned vehicle policy is still in effect. Troopers and DOT officials will be checking abandoned vehicles to see if anyone's there to make sure that they are rescued, but also they will move that vehicle to the shoulder of the road in order to clear traffic. Thanks again to the people of North Carolina for stepping up during the storm, and I know that people have enjoyed the beauty of the storm, and we still need to remember the next couple of nights that the roads could be treacherous in places. So now we'll take questions that you might have. Yes, if you can get a mic there, yeah, thanks.
Governor, are you pleased with the response from all the agencies so far? And do you think that the way the storm happened helped in any way, that it wasn't a lot of ice and that kind of thing?
This was an extraordinary event for our state to have such widespread snow all the way from our mountains to our coast in fairly significant depths of snow as well. I think the Department of Transportation, all of our law enforcement, first responders, our counties, the local governments and their emergency response all responded well to this event. I think it was more than most of the weather people had expected it to be, particularly when it came to accumulation. So I'm pleased with the response. I do believe that North Carolina has a strong integrated emergency management system where we have good relationships among local, state, and federal officials, and I believe that things went pretty well over the last few days.
Governor, I have a roads question.
Can we pass that microphone? Would be great.
Yeah, it's not necessarily storms related, but it is roads related.
Okay.
The wrong way crash that occurred, it seems like North Carolina's had an awful lot of those. I know that there is, I believe, a pilot program and a study to see if we can bring those numbers down. Is that something you can speak to, what our next steps are on that issue?
Wrong way crashes are a deep concern, and we want to save lives. And I know that the Department of Transportation is working on some technology in that area, and I might call on Secretary Trogdon here to maybe address what you guys are doing right now.
Yeah, so the wrong way crash, which for listeners is when people are actually on the wrong side of a 4-lane or more divided facility, is a national problem. In our state and nationally as well, it's extremely low frequency, but they're generally extremely high severity as the consequence of those crashes. So in response to that, we have initiated a pilot on the Triangle Expressway. The reason why we picked that project and that location is it's our most advanced technology facility to look at other ways that we can respond much more rapidly to detecting and actively engaging a wrong-way driver, which is very, very difficult to do. So in general, in our facilities across the state, the only way we can detect a wrong-way driver is it to be reported first by another driver, which is extremely difficult because of the speed and the time, or to catch it on our video cameras, which are limited in their location, and then how fast can we detect it. So we're working and should have in place by the end of March on the Triangle Expressway much more advanced technology to try to find and detect those and then prevent a collision before it happens.
Thank you, Jim. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate it.